In this episode of Talking About Orcs, we're going to be going over the Kommandos, one of my personal favorite units, and it has nothing to do with me playing Blood Axes. So Kommandos are essentially just orc boys with sluggas and choppas. They are a little more points. I think they're 9 points each instead of 6, but they have the ability Sneaky Gets. And when they're in cover, add 2 instead of 1 for the saving throws for the models in this unit. So now when in cover, they have a 4-up save, which isn't too bad when you consider they're probably going to be taking small arms fire. And the other option is Cunning Infiltrators. During deployment, you may set up a unit of Kommandos in hiding instead of placing them on the battlefield. At the end of any of your movement phases, they can walk from their hiding place, set them up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from any enemy model. This is one of the few units in the Orc Codex that can actually set up in reserve, and they are worth setting up in reserve every single time. So some of the options is up to 2 Kommandos may replace their sluggas with a big shooter, Burna, or rocket launcher. Burnas are 0 points. Let me just say that again. Burnas are 0 points in this index. So you can give your Kommandos Burnas for nothing. And so there is no reason to not ever take 2 Burnas in every single Kommando unit. Because not only are they a flamer, but they're also a power weapon. Just like always. Now they are only Assault D3 in shooting versus the Assault D6 of most flamers, but they make up for that by being AP -2 in close combat. They're still only 1 damage strength user, but they're AP -2. There is nothing to complain about for a 0-point Burna. Worth it every time. Would I give them rockets or big shooters ever? No. They're just not worth the points. So it does include, you can upgrade to a knob. 1 guy up to a knob. Again, knob upgrades are free. No reason not to take the knob. And nothing else for that extra leadership. And you can give the knob combi weapons or big chopper or a power claw. I don't know about power claws as much because they're never going to have a bonus from a war banner unless you jump a war banner into them. So that is something to consider. So how do you want to use your Kommandos? There are 2 primary roles for Kommandos. The first one is to take a full-size unit, set them up, and try to assault something first turn. You can do this many ways. You can just take a full unit of 15 and a unit of 10, bring them both in, mob them up, and then charge with 25 units, 25 model unit with 2 knobs, 4 Burnas. And on top of it, you can jump a unit of 30 boys. So now you've got 55 orcs, 9 inches from your opponent at the end of turn 1. And no matter what the rest of your army consists of, they have to deal with that. That's not something they can let sit there for very long. And so if you don't make your charges, of course, there's about 50-50 chance to make the charges with Irigo and command point rerolls. So it's a little more than 50%. I don't know the exact number, so you do want to take that in consideration. But having these 2 big mobs there, 55 orcs is it's a lot for people to deal with, actually. So there's just something to think about. And that's just pure aggressive play. Just get in there with as many boys as you can that first turn and smack them around. Now, if you do that, you can also add in Snickrot, which will give you the rerolls to hit, rerolls of 1 to hit. Can't remember which, but you can add in Snickrot if you wanted to. And just kind of trail some boys off to Snickrot to get the bonus. And then you just hide Snickrot in terrain because he's at +3 to cover instead of a +1 or 2. And so you can just sit there for a turn and just buff the Kommandos when they get in combat. The other way is you take minimal units, just 5 Kommandos with 2 Burnas each, and you just bring them in on objectives, which could be very useful for ITC games or tournaments in general where objectives are important. And just have a bunch of 5-man Kommando units just come in and sit on objective, especially for something that's in cover, or they get the +2 to cover save. So they're going to be sitting there, and it'll be something your opponent has to deal with. They may only be 5 orcs with a 4-up save, but it's still something they have to waste shooting at if they want to get them off that objective. They won't have OBSEC, unfortunately, so that's a thing to consider. But if anyone does try to charge them, especially smaller, weaker units like guardsmen or whatever, things that usually sit on objectives, they got their Burnus to hit them in Overwatch. Again, always take Burnus. 0 points is a very good price for a Burna. So that is Kommandos. They are fantastic. As I said, they are one of the few units in the book you can actually bring in from reserves, which also helps with your deployment. A couple of these guys in reserve means you've got some drops before you actually have to put something on the table, so you can kind of counter deploy. And they can be hyper aggressive or just simple objective grabbers. Both of those roles are more than adequate. I mean, 45 points for 5 orcs that sit on an objective with 2 flamers. That's a good deal. That is a really good deal. And you can just start filling up your elite slots with them to get more command points. So there's nothing wrong with doing that either. Just take those detachments with the HQ, 3 units of 5 commandos each. There's an extra command point. Do that twice, and then you have 1 big battalion detachment for a whole bunch of command points and a whole bunch of objective grabbers. So Kommandos are probably one of the better units in the entire index, actually, being tactically flexible, pretty decent in combat, and very useful, because putting orc boys 9 inches away from your opponent is always a good idea, because orcs like to be close to your opponent, close to the opponent, don't they? So again, Kommandos, one of my favorite units in the entire index, one of the better units in the entire index. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Thank you for watching this episode of Talking About Orcs. Please subscribe and hit the bell button for notifications for new Talking About Orcs videos every Wednesday, new battle reports every Friday, and hobby videos whenever I can. Thanks for watching.